Hi there, welcome back to the Sticks Plus Twine podcast. My name is Eric, and I am a knitter here in Toronto, where I podcast from my home that I share with my partner Sebastian, and we have no pets, no dogs, no cats, as yet. Still a work in progress. Today is Sunday, what is today? Sunday, June 5th, and it's a bit of a gloomy day out there. It's a bit humid. Not exactly a lovely day for being outside, but it's a perfect day for maybe sitting inside and, watching movies or TV and knitting and that sort of stuff. So that's what I plan on doing. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to anyone who's a returning viewer. Thank you very, 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 very much. And for everyone who has subscribed, thank you so much. We're about 140 subscribers away before I am able to do my 4,000 subscriber giveaway. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit the little button. This is reversed, so it's maybe on this side. Don't know. Anyway, if you haven't, please do subscribe. And then I've got a great giveaway that I have planned for our 4,000 subscriber, which I still cannot believe is kind of hitting that mark already. I still can't believe the support that you and the community have shown me. So really, really appreciate that. So we have a group on the Ravelry website, which is the Sticks Plus Twine group. Please do feel free to join. We've got some great conversation going on in there. There's an Ask Me Anything thread, which I took a look through today and didn't see anything new that I hadn't already answered on the thread itself. But I'm more than happy to answer either here on the podcast or to answer in there if you've got any questions. There were quite a few questions about people who are coming to Toronto on holiday and wanted to know about sort of yarn shops and what they should go and take a look at. So there is a post in the Ravelry group around that sort of information. So if you have any more specific questions about the different shops that I talk about, please do feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to help out if I can. So on with the show. So today we are going to talk about, upfront, I'll tell you, no FOs this week. I'm still working on a bunch of different things, and you'll sort of see why I've made some good progress on a whole bunch of different projects. We're going to talk about 2 knit-alongs that we have going on. We're going to talk about a giveaway. There's a winner of the Beyond Vanilla Sock Pattern Collection that I am really pleased and proud to announce the winner of that today. Talk a little bit about stuff that came in the mail. Talk a little bit about what my week is like. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the format of the podcast. I'm going to switch to summer hours. Yay! But you'll see what that's about a little bit further on the podcast. So without much more else to chat about in the upfront admin piece, let's get... Oh, I know. You're kind of curious probably, what am I drinking today? Well, today is not tea. Clearly not coffee. This is a new kind of soda that was announced, or I guess released by one of our local markets here. That's grapefruit and hibiscus, which are 2 of my favorite flavors, particularly in summer. It has cane sugar in it, so it's not artificially sweetened. Probably not the best thing ever, but 1 can is like 90 calories, so I'm going for it anyway. So that's what's on today's beverage menu. And let's get back and get started with some of the works in progress, shall we? Okay, start out right away with maybe a bit of a spoiler, not spoiler, who knows. Movie socks have not actually been touched since for a couple of weeks now. And not that I don't love them, it's not that I don't love the pattern. I just have been working on a few other things that have been kind of basically stealing all of my attention. So I will get back to them. We'll talk about Cal News a little bit later on, but there will be some news around that because I've decided to extend the deadline. I had a number of people ask about that, and quite selfishly, I need some more time on them as well, so we're going to do that. But let's talk about, first of all, what do I have on the needles? And this piece of fabulousness is my Void Shawl in progress. It's kind of curling there. I'm sorry about that. Maybe if I just fold it, you'll see the texture maybe a little bit better. I have made some good progress on this, guys. There are 13 repeats of the texture before you start with the garter stitch edging, and I'm midway through, sorry about the needles clanging, I am midway through number 9. So it's not intuitive. I think Jacqueline said that when she was working on hers. That's Jacqueline from Brooklyn Knit Folk. It's not intuitive, right? You kind of have to look every row. There's an 8-row repeat. to see what are you supposed to do that row. And the ends are slightly different at each row. So you really kind of have to pay attention. I haven't had to think back too much. Just one or two times when I kind of went, oh, that's not right. Because you can tell when you've made a mistake really, really easily because it follows a really predictable pattern. And when that pattern is not adhered to, you can see it. Working on the wrong side, it's a little harder to see when and where the pattern goes off, goes a bit awry. So I would suggest if you're working on it, just check now and again and make sure you're getting the right stitches in the right order. I am knitting this on the recommended US 7 3.5 millimeter needles. I think it's 3.5s. I'll take them out. Sorry, 4.5 millimeter, not 3.5. And they are, so this is where, again, I've talked about this before, combination between yarn and needle sometimes makes a difference. These are on my Knit Picks interchangeables. Black cord, which is actually part of the Knitter's Pride set that I think those are Knitter's Pride. And they're right? They're slippery, they're slick because the needles are nickel plated. And they're kind of sharp, which is great. They're not super sharp, but they're sharp enough for doing this kind of work. But out of the Woolfolk, and now I had a viewer who kindly told me I was pronouncing the name of the yarn wrong. It's not far. And I can't pronounce it for the life of me. I'm not even going to try because I'm going to embarrass myself, and that's not good for any podcaster, right? But it is not far. It is pronounced in a very Norwegian, Scandinavian, not even Norwegian, let's say Scandinavian kind of way that I just can't get my tongue to do. But this is in Woolfolk. This is skein 2. I've already gone through 1. I have 3 more to go. And it's funny because I was talking with Katie, my lovely co-host of our Void Along Cal, which I'll talk about in a moment as well, about how I was worried that this wasn't going to end up being all that long, and yet you're increasing so much, it ends up that it will be quite long when it's done. I've got another 4 repeats of the diamond pattern to go through, and then I end up doing, I think, almost 50% again of just garter edging. So you've seen the pictures, I'm sure, I'm not giving away the pattern at all, but it's got a really deep garter border on it. So I am really pleased with how this is coming out. It's a lot faster than I thought, to be honest, but I've also been obsessively knitting on this since we cast on last week. So happy with the progress there. So we talked about my movie socks, haven't really done anything there, but I've done a lot of other stuff. I'm going to talk right now about sort of an upcoming project because I did a swatch. This is Quince & Co. Finch in the Honey colorway, and this has been blocked. And as much as I love the fabric, it's not hitting gauge. So I'm going to basically frog back the swatch, and I'm going to reknit the gauge. I was checking in with my go-to for all things to know about knitting math, and that is Jenny formerly of the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast. And now you'll have noticed, if you're a fan, that they have now changed the name to Handmade and Woolen, which I actually love. And I sort of had a quick chat with her about what do I do with this swatch. And so she gave me some great advice. I'm going to go up probably almost a full needle size. And this is a swatch for the Red Fruit sweater, which is, I'll put a picture right here, by Julie Hoover for Brooklyn Tweed. And I love this color. I cannot wait to make this sweater. But it is a fingering weight sweater, so it's going to take some time. I was hoping to have it done for Rhinebeck, but I have a lot of other sweaters I need to do too, and I feel bad casting on for another sweater for myself when I kind of owe 2 people sweaters from there. So that's my own fault for having suggested, oh sure, I'll knit you a sweater. How hard could that be? Anyway, I'll get around to theirs eventually too. But the fabric itself is really, really nice. It's super light and airy, which I adore. I love the color. A little bit of bleeding happened when I was washing it, but I'm okay with the little bit of bleed because I actually like the color a little better. It does not show up on camera as accurate as I would hope, but maybe if I come in close, no, it's adjusting the color. The camera on the iPhone just doesn't do any justice, but it's really, really nice. So I got that done. That was sort of just an evening project. I did that last Sunday actually, and I was going to put it on Instagram as a swatching Sunday hashtag. And I didn't for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. I think the swatch was still drying or something. And then I realized that Julie Hoover actually does hashtag Swatch Sundays. I'm like, oh, I should have done it. So maybe I'll just post it today anyway. So that's another sort of, call it a work in progress, but a work to be planned. So I'm reaching down because I have another project that I want to give you an update on in my lovely Lutz bag from Jody from Mrs. Brown's Bags, which I adore this bag. This is, if you've been watching, you'll maybe recognize this. This is Quince & Co. Lark in the ice... Oh, it's not Iceland. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on this one? Oh, I'll have it down here somewhere. Anyway, this, believe it or not, this entire bag is full with one whip. And it is a sweater, and it is the return of the Rift. I sort of figured I was waiting to cast on for the Void, and I just thought, oh, I just really want to knit something, and I want to knit something good. So I picked the Rift back up, and there are ends galore. There's bits and pieces. Give me a second to unfurl this thing. And it's a big blob right now. But sorry, the needles are going to hit the table. It's a glass table. I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about that. If it hits your microphone or my microphone, your ears, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm babbling because I'm trying to show how to show this off. The back is done. I have finished the back. Yay. What I found really interesting is how much this ribbing really pulls in when you're doing it. So the pattern is basically done. It's a faux raglan sleeve. It is a set-in sleeve, but it is a faux raglan because there's this pattern that is all about increases and decreases, increasing in the ribbing and decreasing in the body. And it's a bit annoying in one way because after you get... Last time I showed you this, I was actually here. Right to that point. So I did that much of the back since, and I've actually gone into the front by almost the same amount. So once you cast off for the underarm, there's a whole bunch of knitting that happens. There's a lot of decreases and increases. And then you've got yarn, thankfully using interchangeables, and sort of point to anybody who's going to do this. It tells you to put all this on scrap yarn. Why bother? If you've got interchangeables, just put a new cord on the new one, right? Easy. And then you can just switch your needles. But I'm sure I'm like preaching to the choir. You guys all know this stuff, right? Like, don't forget, I'm still new. I'm still learning all this stuff. So where was I talking about this? What did I want to say? Oh, it does have a garter edge on the side, a garter stitch edge, which I actually really like because I think it's going to make sewing the pieces together really, really easy. Oh gosh, there was something I wanted to say about this. Oh, right. Okay. Once you get up to the top, when you're up to the sort of where the neckband will eventually be picked up and stitched, you actually have almost four... and I haven't woven in any ends because I wanted to sort of show you this. You attach, like, at one point there was 4 balls of yarn attached to this, just for, like, 1 for the front and 3 for the back. And it's kind of crazy in yarn management. It is a process, for sure. But it worked out well. Casting off was really easy. It's got a bit of a sloped bind off on the shoulder, which was my first time doing that, which is, I wanted to see, I'd heard about it, but I wanted to see sort of how it came out. It worked better on this side than on this side. I did the same technique and it just didn't come out quite the same. I think because you're doing it on the reverse side. Anyway, the back is done. I have tried this on for fit. It will be absolutely fine once it's blocked because all of the edges, like I said, it's got this great ribbed side piece. But until it gets blocked out, it kind of pulls on itself. So I know once it gets blocked and it gets stretched out properly, it's gonna be really nice. I'm thrilled with this. I should have hopefully, once I get the Void done, I'm gonna go right back onto this, get this thing sort of back on the needles because this is super, super, super easy TV knitting. The chart's really, really well done. It's all charted for the front and the back. And I can just it's basically stockinette with a little bit of extra stitching here and there. So that one's really good, and I'm so happy with that. And that, as I'm just checking my notes, that is it for where we are on Works in Progress. So why don't we come back and we'll talk a little bit about our knit-alongs and how that's going. All right, so time to talk a little bit about our knit-alongs. So we've got 2 in progress at the moment. The first one is the Movie Night Sock Cal, which is living currently in my collection of project bags. These are all active bags. There's no change in my socks, but I did want to talk about what we have something really exciting coming up on this Thursday, June 9th, is I am hosting the Sticks Plus Twine movie night here in the theater at my home. And tickets are available on Eventbrite. Please do, if you're able to attend, if you're in the Toronto area and you'd like to attend, the tickets are free. It's just basically so I have a guest list, so I let the concierge know to let up people to the theater. And we've got some exciting stuff planned. Haven't really decided on the movie as yet. I think we'll do sort of a straw poll on the night of. But there is going to be a silent auction of different types of yarns and things that I've had donated to the podcast that I kind of feel like I've got quite a few things, and I think that I want to share that in the nature of charity. So what I'm going to do is there will be a silent auction for a number of donated gifts to the podcast, as well as some items from my personal stash. Not stuff that I'm de-stashing. It's all good stuff. I don't have anything that I wouldn't put anything out that's like, stuff you can get at Michael's. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I want to try and raise money with. And there may be a few other additions that are going to come with some of the attendees. I won't sort of spill the beans yet, but you'll find out more on the next podcast because I plan on doing a little bit of recording, and I'll sort of share the experience with you in the next podcast. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I am asking for a suggested donation of $10 per person. Not to go for me because it's going to be BYOB. Bring whatever you want to bring if you're attending. But it's more because I really want to support Stephanie Pearl McPhee's Friends for Life bike rally, and all the donations, both from the attendees and from the silent auction, are going to go directly to her fundraising efforts. So super appreciate that. If you wanted to make a donation and you're not aware that this is something that she does, I will have a link in the show notes as well if you want to donate directly. If you're not able to attend, please do donate whatever you're able to. It goes to a really, really worthy cause, and all the information is on her site. And we're going to talk a little bit about our Void. So you've seen already my Void Shawl in progress, and Katie from Inside Number 23 and I are thrilled to be hosting the Void Along, which is, of course, the Void Shawl by Melanie Berg. And we had the official cast on was June 1st. It will be running until the 17th of July, at which point we will close and we will draw for prizes. And so what are those prizes? Just a quick recap for anybody who hasn't seen before. There will be prizes in both mine and Katie's Ravelry groups. You need to be a member of either one of our groups to submit your FO to that thread. But there will be prizes in both. So if you want to double dip and go for a prize in mine and for one in Katie's, you're welcome to do that. There will be a $50 Canadian gift card prize. So you get to choose what you would like that gift card to, whether it be Craftsy or Etsy or anything essentially that I can get a gift card online for. I am more than happy to make that whatever your dream is, we'll make that happen. And Katie will be doing the same thing in pounds in the UK. And then there will also be sort of a miscongeniality award where Katie and I will be making our individual choices for just people that we think are just fabulous in the group. People are doing a lot of supporting, people are doing a lot of encouraging, or just have the most creative version of it. I mean, it's a one color shawl. It's not going to be super creative, but we just think that sometimes that because we so focus on the randomness of it, that sometimes it's not about playing favorites. It's about sometimes I just really, really like someone's work and I want to sort of award something for it. So my podcast, my rules, that's what I'm going to do. So there's one for random, one for my choice. Anything else we want to talk about that? Nope, I think that's it. So if you have not cast on and would like to join, please do not feel like you are running against the clock on this one. There's plenty of time to join. Since we started, today is only the 5th. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the patterned portion of the project already. So there is no reason why you need to panic. It is, like I said, it's not the most intuitive knit, but it is a really fun knit. I really enjoy doing it. So it's kind of getting the hang of some of the stitches and sort of seeing where they go. It's been really enjoyable. So please feel free to come and join us if you so choose. Okay, so we're going to take a quick little break. I'm going to come back and talk about a giveaway. Going to talk about some stuff that came in the mail that's kind of exciting. And then we'll talk a little bit more about our summer hours for the podcast. See you in a sec. So let's talk a little bit about some giveaways that we have happening, a new giveaway that I'm announcing today, and a little bit of extra special news. So let's first talk about the giveaway for the Beyond Vanilla Socks pattern collection that was released by the ever so lovely Mina Phillip. It's a collection of 4 different sock patterns. I'm sure you've seen on other podcasts people who are really, really enjoying the Beyond Vanilla sock. So if you're looking for something that's just a little more involved than a plain old stockinette sock, these are a great collection. So I had a prompt in the podcast that I had left open for a little bit extra time, just because I wasn't going to be podcasting until today. So we had 148 entries, and the prompt was to talk a little bit about your favorite sock that you have knit or were given or had knitted for you, or what you would like to knit if you have never knitted a sock before. And the winner was entry number 28, and that person is Eve Lee, or it could be Eve Lee. Please do get in touch. I'll send you a quick note as well. I'll give you a day or two to maybe watch the podcast and get the surprise, and then I'll send you a note. But I just wanted to make sure that you know that you won. And congratulations, and I am going to let Mina know to send that over to you on Ravelry. So thank you so much for participating. So the new giveaway that I want to talk about is for anyone who's been watching quite a few of the podcasters, we were invited to participate in the knitting games by Melissa, who is the spicy homemaker. And we were to knit up a few little fun knit animals and stuff and put them in great pictures. So, and it was to win prizes for for our podcast viewers. And I did not win. Not gonna lie, I'm not all that disappointed, because there was so much amazing creativity in it that I'm just proud of everybody who participated. But there was a consolation prize for each of the podcasters who participated, and that was a skein of yarn for one of you to win. And the skein that came this week from Melissa, thank you so much, Melissa, was from Kettled. And it is this really, really sort of bubblegummy kind of thing. It's actually called Pearl. It is in her matte sock base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, 438 yards and 100 grams. And you'll notice I've got an extra light on top of the recording today, and it's kind of blowing out the color a little bit. I think just frankly because it's so gloomy, I needed an extra little bit of light today. But there are blues, and it's almost like a soft coral, and then these great little hits of almost a neon highlighter yellow, which is great. So this is going to be this week's giveaway. What should the prompt be? I know what I'm going to... So this week's prompt is going to be, what are you most looking forward to about this summer? And if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, what are you most looking forward to? No, let's say, what did you most enjoy about your summer, right? That kind of makes it fair. Because it's not really the same thing, winter and summer, right? They're not the same thing. So that will be a thread that will be open when this podcast goes live on YouTube. And I will leave that open until the next time I podcast, which will be in 2 weeks, and then I will draw the winner, and this amazing skein of yarn could be yours. So thank you so much to Melissa. Thank you to Cat's Kettle for the great yarn, and we'll give that away. So what else do we have to talk about? Well, of course, it wouldn't be a week in Eric's world without something cool coming in the mail. Not all the things that I order or that I talk about here I've ordered myself, but I did order this one. And this one actually came, I think, I've talked about this before, but it actually came just a little bit, I think right after I recorded the last podcast. And this is the China Blue colorway from Kaleidoscope Yarns. Kaleidoscope Dye Works. And for anyone who hasn't watched the last couple of episodes, the reason why I was really, really liking this particular yarn is I love the colors. Anything blue and white, go figure, right? I adore. But I also wanted to help support the families that were affected by the fires in Fort McMurray. I'm not sure if anyone outside of Canada sort of heard about this, but there's an entire community that was devastated by forest fires, which are still going on and still out of control and still trying to be managed. And Kaleidoscope Dye Works had provided a great, I think, donation based on every skein that was sold. So of course I had to buy one. And I love this color. It will be a welcome addition to my stash. It is on the sock base, a sock and shawl yarn, 80% merino, 20% nylon, 426 yards, or 396 meters in 115 grams. So it's a very generous amount. I have a feeling that I am going to end up making socks of this because I just think it's so cool. And of course, I love everything to do with blue and white. And I even think I have the pattern that I'm going to do for it. But you'll have to wait and see when I actually start that, because clearly I have other things I have to get done first. So that will go into stash for a little bit, but I enjoy it and I love that. So thank you so much to Kaleidoscope for getting that to me. I really, really, really appreciate that yarn as well. And I appreciate mainly the fact that you're providing the donations on that. So what else to talk about? Oh, we have something really fun to talk about. So anyone who has been watching the Periscoping Sisters will know about the Gabicorn. So Debbie and Amy had this great idea for having this sort of traveling little creature that goes, from place to place, from knitter to knitter, and sometimes from podcaster to podcaster, where the idea is to attach a piece of yarn that is your favorite yarn and talk about why that's your favorite and what did you knit out of it. And it is a needle felted unicorn that Andy from Andre Sue Knit's daughter Abigail needle felted, and the Gabicorn has made it to Toronto, and it made its way. It took a little bit of time because she had to come all the way from Chile, and so she made it this week. So Gabicorn came with me yesterday for a little bit of an adventure, which I'll talk about in my sort of little travel section. And so I have not yet attached my yarn. I am still trying to decide which yarn to attach. I've got so many favorite yarns that I've worked with, and I think I know which one it's going to be. But Gabicorn, unfortunately, has to leave me tomorrow. She'll be going on Monday off to her next destination. I'm just waiting to get the address for the next recipient, and she will be on her way. But it came from Connie from Chili Knits from Santiago. And Connie, if you're not aware, is Chili Knits. And she is not only a yarn dyer, but also a bag maker. And she included one of each in the package for me, which I could not be more appreciative of. Thank you so much, Connie. There is a slight chance I may end up in Santiago later this summer, which would be her winter. And if that happens, I'm going to go hang out with you. So I'll start first with the wonderful project bag that she sent me. And I absolutely love this pattern. The little robots is great. The colors, this is the most amazing summer project bag. It's a boxy bag, which I love because I think it's perfect for doing things like, some nice socks and stuff like that. And it's roomy enough for it. It's got this great big handle on it, which is really nice. And the quality of the construction is fantastic. She does a great job. So that came. But she also sent me a wonderful skein of her yarn, which if you have watched the Legacy Knits podcast, this is where I first heard about Connie's yarns. And the colors are just amazing. They do not disappoint. This is in her Nimbus fingering, which is gorgeous. It's 80-10-10. It's an MCN merino cashmere nylon. It's 435 yards, and this is the Apple Teeny colorway. which, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to see if this helps. Oh, maybe that'll help a little. Not really. But it is really delicious. I can't wait to do something with this. It's MCN, though. I feel like I really want to do something not socks with these. These would make gorgeous socks, but I'm going to find, I think, another project. I'm half considering doing another 3-color cashmere cowl out of this. But I want to use a lot more of this skein because it is so delicious and so delightful. So we shall see. But that's going to go into stash for just a little bit. If you haven't tried something from Chili Knits before, I can say that this is a really delicious base. So thank you so much, Connie. Really, really super, super appreciate that. And that was it for acquisitions this week. It is summer, so I'm not obviously buying in bulk. I am trying to be good about saving money for Rhinebeck because it's really going to be here before you know it. Today's the 5th of June, so July, August, September, October, 4 months, and we'll be off to Rhinebeck already. So time to start getting some stuff on the needles. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick little break, and then I'm going to come back, talk a little bit about sort of what I've been up to over the past 2 weeks, and a little bit of show news. So if you tuned in for the knitting content, it's kind of the end of the knitting content, and if you want to choose to stick around, please do, but if you don't, then I will see you in a couple of weeks. Don't forget, we've got the giveaway of the great Cat's Kettle yarn, and look for that in the Ravelry group. That'll be your chance to win that skein. All right, back in a moment. All right, welcome back. If you've stuck around for a little bit of show news and a little bit of sort of life in Toronto news, welcome back. So what have I been up to the past 2 weeks? Well, we went to see Age of Apocalypse, the new X-Men film, which I really, really liked. I thought it was fantastic. Oscar Isaac is becoming one of my favorite actors, I think. I did not see him in anything much before The Force Awakens, but I'm really, really digging him as an actor. I read an interview with him as well in, was it GQ magazine? I think it was GQ, and it was a really interesting interview. I really, really appreciate that. But I loved the film. I thought it was a really good addition to the sort of X-Men first class, shall we say. Really enjoyed it. So that was fun. What else? I have been catching up on Homeland. I finally finished the end of season 4. It went on to streaming. So I caught up on that. I'm now watching season 5, which I'm also very, very much enjoying. We started watching Preacher, which started last week. Second episode is on this week. Started watching Outcast. Oh my god, that's going to be really, really good. That's by the writer of The Walking Dead, and really, really enjoyed that. Wasn't sure if I was going to at first, but I thought, well, of course I'm going to enjoy it. So really, really cool. And then this week I went out with a former client, now friend, to have a sort of an evening out at her yacht club here in Toronto, in the Toronto Harbour. Toronto is, of course, right on Lake Ontario, which is one of our Great Lakes, one of the 5 Great Lakes. And right outside of our harbour, we have the Toronto Islands. So there's sort of a little chain of islands that are, just off the I guess, our shoreline. And I had such a good time. I really, really enjoyed it there that I became a member. So we went out, Sebastian and I, last night to go for new members night. I sort of picked the right week to go. And we don't own a sailboat. We don't own a boat of any kind. But that might happen next year, I'm not going to lie. So this season, I'm going to take sailing lessons, which will be fun. I've always loved sailing. I've loved the water. My 40th birthday, I actually went on a cruise, and we went on a sailing racing yacht with 2 of my best friends. And I love the water. I love sailing. I love the peacefulness of it. I love the sport of it. I think it's really cool. So so that's what we did last night. Then we just had dinner out and stuff. It was really nice. But then the weather today is, like I said, it's not been particularly good. So anyway, that's what we've been up to this week. I did get a bit of planning done for what I'm going to be calling as well the sort of summer hours of the Sticks plus Twine podcast. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and it may not be to everyone's cup of tea, but the reality is that summer, everybody wants to be outside. There's things to do. It gets busier and busier. And I don't want to just start putting out a podcast that doesn't have great value or great things to talk about. But I don't also want to just be talking about the same thing every week, because I have a feeling over the next couple of months it may not be as heavy on the knitting content. It's just that kind of thing. I'll still certainly be doing some knitting, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sort of fine tuning what I think a little sort of summer format is going to be. I'm going to kick that off at the beginning of July. They will be likely shorter episodes, once a week, with a really singular focus in each episode. So for people who like a shorter episode, great, you'll enjoy it. For people who want more frequent episodes, you'll probably want that too. So we'll see. I'm planning on, like I said, I'm going to fine tune the format a little bit, and then I will be kicking that off at the beginning of July. And then we'll see if people like the format. I might stick with it, but I might likely turn back to a regular format come the fall. But we shall see what we shall see. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I've been catching up on some podcasts as well. Not a huge amount, just because I haven't really had a lot of time lately. I've been pretty busy. We moved our office, my agency. We moved to a slightly bigger office. We added another desk. We've got a window, which is great. I have a co-working space that previously we didn't have a window. It was glass walls, but there really wasn't any sunlight. So this should be a really nice change for us as well. Outside of that, not much else is going on. Just working, lots and lots of work. Trying to sort of knit as much as I can, because it really helps with stress level. I'm sure we can all appreciate that. But that's it for this week. So thank you so much for joining. There are a ton of podcasts out that you can be spending your time with, and I appreciate the time you spend with me. And if you've got any questions or comments, please do provide your feedback. Primarily on Ravelry. I do watch all of their comments on YouTube, but I do get a chance to respond, I think, a little more succinctly and appropriately in Ravelry, because usually there's pattern questions or stores, and I can link you directly to anything that you might be looking for. So thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.